So there's an important topic that I want to talk about, which, okay, it's relating to my sister, and I'm going to try my hardest not to talk about her and not to relate it to her. But it relates to me. It's, something I'm going through. She thinks that there's a very high chance that the child could go into adoption, maybe even 50-50. I don't know if that's true or if that's just being pessimistic, but she thinks there's a high chance it's going to go into adoption rather than foster care. So I want to talk about the difference between foster care and adoption. Um, I think foster care is best in some circumstances, such as if someone goes to prison, their ability to look after a child is not in question. And, at the end of a sentence, they're going to, come out and get the child. Or perhaps a child, can be looked after by family members. But maybe the family members do think that they're just a little bit young, or maybe things get easier when they go to school because you can work and say if there's things in question, and it's going to be a short term. Foster care is definitely best in that situation. If, however, the parents' ability is in question, and if it's likely to be more than, I don't know what the cutoff point is. Definitely, if they think it's going to be as much as 6 years, then I think adoption is better, because I hate the idea of children being used as a money making thing. In my case, I believe that I'm very capable of offering a home to a child, and offering, especially if it's a relative, I'll be very good at looking after a child, attending their needs. And I'm hugely angry with this viability test that was written about me, which is completely wrong in every single way. She's questioned my lack of ability and commitment, and understanding, and it reads as if I'm mentally ill when there's nothing to say that I'm mentally ill. Well, I've got no mental illness history. And yeah, it's nonsense, because I don't need, I'm not on government funding. I don't have a social worker. And I didn't really know what a social worker was, but I watched this transporter episodes about people who go back and time travel, and one of them time traveled into this body of someone who, I don't know, there was a profile that gave a life about this person, so she thought that this was what the life was like. And when that person died, she was continuing living that person's life, only she was a time traveled soul, went back. But it turned out that actually that profile was fake, and she actually had a social worker. And the reason why she had a social worker is because she couldn't make decisions for herself. She had a learning disorder. She couldn't speak properly or read properly, and she needed a social worker. Was in this case was someone who, helped her make decisions and stuff. And my sister does have a social worker. Like, I never really knew what it was. I thought it was just in case she had a mental breakdown. um, but yeah, in that film, a social worker was actually someone who helps make decisions for people when they can't make good decisions. And my sister, she's not good at making good decisions. She's not very good at making decisions. And, well, if you need a social worker for yourself to help you make decisions, then how are you supposed to raise a child if you can't make decisions for yourself? Because you have to make decisions for yourself and a child. And if you can't see risks and danger, you could be talking a long time. Now, it's questionable whether I wanted Sophie, because I thought she could do it, because I didn't. I thought she could, and then I saw evidence that she couldn't. But yeah, because she's got an older child, and she is only getting 2 hours a week, or 2 hours every 2 weeks in a call center. And if they think that she can't be alone with that child, then it's likely that the same will happen to this child when he gets to three. So it's very likely that, we're not talking 2 or 3 years. We're talking, 4 or 5, 6 years. I really want this child, and I feel sick at the thought of them pushing me away and telling me I can't do it when there's no evidence or proof to back that up. I don't want the idea. I don't want the child to go into foster care. Why? Because I feel like I have built up a huge amount of hatred for what happened over Sophie's older child. The father wanted me and my mum to have nothing to do with it, nothing to do with the child, nothing to do with him. I met him once in the first week of his life, and then there was this lockdown for 3 months, and then I had some clothes that I wanted to give, so I met him twice. Well, once in June, because I thought they had the clothes, because I already gave it to them at Christmas, but it turned out they'd actually left it in a Birmingham house, so I had to go back, pick it up, and then come back in July to give them those clothes. But both times I didn't feel very welcome in the house. So I didn't see Sophie with the child, and I didn't see the child. So I didn't form any bond or any connection with the child. But my mum kind of did a bit. But yeah, she's been obsessing and obsessing and obsessing about this child. So I was helping her to get access. And for months, we filled out a big, big, long form, and they had to wait 9 months. And then we finally got around to being, being heard in the court, but we almost weren't let in the court. We had to wait an hour to find out if we were even allowed to be in the court, because according to court laws, aunties and grannies don't have any rights. It's all the mother and father, and if it's the father's wish for the auntie and granny not to have anything to do with the child, then that's what they. I think these rules are made up by people who believe, probably arrogant fathers who think that they know best, and are happy to throw out family members. And I think the people who made these rules are probably those kind of people, because those kind of people are the people that get into power, people who like isolating their children from mad families. Okay, it is a mad family. Our family is a mad family, but just because there is madness in our family doesn't mean that I'm not capable of looking after a child. Doesn't mean that I'm not capable of being a benefit to a child's life. But I feel like when it comes to this, it feels like someone's dangled, it's like a Snicker bar. I really like a Snicker bar. They dangled a Snicker bar at me and just said, "Oh, just wait, run 15 minutes and you'll get the Snicker bar." And then after 15 minutes, you wait. They say, "Oh no, you have to run for another 5 minutes, or another 5 minutes, and then another 5 minutes." We thought the court hearing would happen within a few months. It didn't. It just kept waiting and waiting and waiting. And the process of waiting to find out if we get this access, I mean, it was actually a long process first, because we first thought that Sophie would gain custody, but Sophie wasn't really trying hard enough, or caring enough, and or putting her point across enough. She's autistic, she doesn't really talk that much, and she wasn't getting anywhere. So we had to wait about a whole year just to find out, what happens with her, and how she wasn't even getting a video call or nothing. So we had to wait a whole year, hoping that Sophie will gain some custody and we can get custody through that. And then when she didn't, we tried it, and we had to wait a whole another year just to see if we could get access, and we didn't. And so yeah, it's just like someone waving a Snicker bar on you, and you're running and you're trying really hard to get it, and the more you wait, imagine eventually you did get it. Imagine you just ran like 6 hours to get a Snicker bar. I think you'd be actually really pissed off with the process, and you might even not like the Snicker bar any longer, because you're just like, I didn't want to wait this long. And there's going to be a huge amount of hatred. I don't think I would be able to look after Sophie's older child now, because of all this bad memory and all these problems that have happened. My mum going mad over this, my sister kind of not being as interested as we want, but thinking that's really wrong, and then the father just being an arse and blocking my number, refusing to have any contact with me whatsoever. And it's just like, I thought we were kind of like, I know we weren't close the majority of the time we knew each other, but there was a few years where we were a bit close, and it's just to have that just taken away. And it's just, I don't know, it's built up a horrible feeling towards the child, as well as the whole thing. And if this child is going into foster care, every week, every month, I'm just going to be like, why are you paying someone £200 to look after a child when I want a child, when I can do it, when I can look after it? And this report made by a stranger just is nothing. It's rubbish. I can't provide warm stimulating care because of my lack of knowledge in a child's growth. I mean, isn't that rubbish? Isn't that bullshit? You don't need to know about a child's growth. I mean, you just go with the flow. I mean, growth doesn't happen really quickly. It happens very slowly. And when they start growing teeth, that's when you start doing the teeth. They're brushing their teeth. When they have teeth, I don't know what age that they start growing teeth, but you look in the mouth and you think, okay, there's teeth there now. You need to start brushing your teeth. You don't need to know things. You grow with the child and you learn with the child, and just the nonsense that they've written is rubbish. So it is causing me problems, because I'm angry at the possibility that it is going to go into adoption or foster care. But at least with adoption, it's a clean break. At least I know that the child's not just going to be used as a money making thing. At least I know that the child is actually going to have a family. Meaning, okay, I'm a single parent, so if the child was to live with me, he wouldn't have a dad, and there is a benefit for them being adopted, or at least they'll have a mother and a dad. And when the child is probably 5, 6, 7, Sophie will have a good relationship with her child. She's autistic, and I feel like part of the problem is a lack of concern. The thought of someone's child being taken away from them because they're not capable. That should anger. That should really, really hurt any person. And I just don't feel that sense of like desperation and anger over it. Well, I feel it. I feel like with me, if Sophie loses custody, I'm the next of kin, and the thought that they're just going to rule me out because of a bunch of lies that a stranger wrote about me that aren't true. That thought is devastating, and it makes me hate England. It makes me hate the court systems if they agree to it. They haven't actually. I mean, I don't even know if there is going to be a court system, because last time we thought there was going to be a court case before Sophie came out of the hospital, and that turned out just to be a phone call. Yeah, you can leave now. Oh, we were panicking for months about whether we were going to be even allowed to take the child out of the hospital, and what we can just go. I mean, that was a bit weird, and so I don't know, but I'm getting really stressed out of this because I really want the child, and foster care or adoption is both bad, but I feel like foster adoption would be a better option, because at least I don't have to watch my mum go mad over it slowly thinking that we still have a chance in a year or two or three, and at least I don't have to. I'd be angry, but I would let go. And okay, I think it would affect the child's life, when the child is 18, 19, 20. I'm always going to remember this. The child won't remember the first 3 4 years of their life, but I will. I will always remember how the social services made me feel by not letting me have this child, or not letting me get involved in his life. This will affect me for the rest of my life, and it will affect how I see the child. I'll just see him as someone with a bunch of bad memories. And so if the child was to go into foster care and then come out after 3 4 years, I'll be like, oh, now you think I'm safe. Well, why am I any different now? I still have no kids, so I still have no experience. So why am I okay with a 3-year-old and not a baby? Like, okay, I can understand the first 3 months, they are very fragile in the first 3 months, and it's when they cry and you just can't figure out why they're crying. It is a little bit stressful. So I'm not too bothered about the first few months, but 3 months that I was seeing kids in Butlins in the swimming pool. I would want a child like that, and for not to be not allowed to have that based on what a report made on a stranger. I feel like, if the child was to go into foster care for 2 years, I would always be angry every single month, and the hatred that I have will just add up, and it will mount up. Why have they deemed me not suitable? Why do they think they have the power to do this? I can't. I probably, my chance of getting adopting someone else's child or fostering someone else's child probably is zero, because I'm a single mum, and my job might limit that. And I also have strong a religion that no one else in the world apparently believes in. I don't think that's true. I think there are people that support me, but I've got no evidence of that. And I also have a strong desire to go into Big Brother, which might be seen as weird for some people. I don't know if that's going to happen. I really don't know. It's an ambition. But yeah, with all these things, it would probably be really hard to foster someone else's kid or adopt someone else's kid. But this is my nephew. If I don't have a chance of this kid, then I don't have a chance of any kid. And I would be really, really angry if I'm not able to look after this child, because they say so. And I just, if the child I am able in 3 or 4 years, I think I would have built up so many bad memories of them thinking that I can't do it, that it would affect my keenness to want to do it. So for that reason, I feel like adoption would be best. If they don't think I can do it now. And I don't think they should have the ability to assess. Sophie's getting a 15-week assessment whether she can do it or not. And what, you're going to give a relative 1 hour based, I think, on a woman who didn't like me, and has just written up lies and stuff that's factually not true. I mean, I think pretty much most people in the social services know now that I'm not really on my sister's side. So to have things in that report say things like I'm more concerned about my sister than I will be about about the baby, I feel like they must know that there's not truth in this. But yeah, I don't want to put my mum down too much, but she's not right. We were supposed to meet the child for 1 hour. That was the whole holiday was kind of arranged because of wanting to see this child and being close to the child. And she was basically almost late. Like I said, okay, we'll get out the swimming pool at 1. That gives us a whole hour to, get changed, have a shower, and get ready, and we can leave at 1/2 past so we can get there nice 15 minutes early. And then at 1/2 past, she comes back like 20 past, spends 10 minutes flipping around, like moving stuff, and then at 1/2 past she disappears. I have no idea where she'd gone. Apparently she told us where she was going, but she said it so fast, and I was on the computer, I wasn't listening. Gone out, and then she didn't take her phone for 15 minutes. We're just like, where is she? Getting more and more frustrated about why are we not able to leave? Where is she? She went off to the sauna and to the jacuzzi to book a session for tomorrow. It's just like, well, couldn't you have done this earlier? Couldn't you have done this when we come back? Why have you gone the time that we're supposed to be leaving to go and see this child? Why have you gone off to do something else? Her attention span is just so, I don't think she's capable of looking after a baby. She's not going to like me saying this, um, but she's in her own world a lot of the time. Is just too busy talking that she won't focus on things that are important. And anyone that would think that she's a better option than me is crazy. The problem is she looks better on paper. She's married and was a nurse and has 2 children. If you look at all the paperwork of ticking boxes, she fits in a certain category. But if you actually talk to her, it's just so wrong. And the fact that I haven't had experience kind of actually means that I'm probably be more dedicated to the child, because I haven't. This isn't just another one. Oh, I've got another child, or this is not just one extra child, or I've got nothing else to do. So I don't know. I'd be hugely angry if I'm not allowed to. But there's also something I need to know is it going to be a sort of foster situation for me, or is it going to be an adoption system? I would like to have a rough idea on how long we're talking, because if they think that the child can live with Sophie in 2 or 3 years time, then I'm happy to take the child for 2 or 3 years, and I'm not expecting payment or anything. But if they think though that adoption is better, then I guess I would like a form or something to say that this child is going to be mine for what period, and how much rights. I would like maybe some sort of document to say how much rights Sophie should have. So, but yeah, in my opinion, it's likely that Sophie is not going to be able to live with a child until he's 5 or 6. But I think it really does depend on her partner and what partner. She's good at finding codependent relationships. So it's fine if you find a nice partner who can, help you and treat you well. But if you're not going to find a good partner, then yeah, that's and if you do find a good partner, you might find that he wants a child that is his, and not have to take on someone else's, responsibility. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but